Ever since my visit to the My Arcade CES booth way back in January of this year, the number one question people ask me is, what about that Game Station Go? But the number two, easily, people want to know what's going on with that new pole position tabletop toy. Well, it's here. New form factor, new controls, maybe a new philosophy from My Arcade. We're going to take a closer look right after this.
This video brought to you in part by Tommy and the Order of Cosmic Champions. This exciting and heartwarming coming-of-age Gen X novel is available now. Check the link for more info.
Hey there, welcome back to GenXGrownUp. I'm John, and I am a GenXGrownUp. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video. Yeah, it's finally here. This is what My Arcade is calling the pole position racing player. So a new type of player. You have a micro player and the joystick player and the pocket players. Racing player. Now, as I said at the intro of this video, there's a lot new here. First and foremost, for me, they said original arcade ROM. Now, back then it was pole position. This appears to have two games, pole position 1 and 2. More importantly, though, the controls for pole position are tough. It's a tough nut to crack because it had pedals on the floor, it had a big free spinning joystick on the right in front of you, had a gear shift, and all of that they've replicated here. But the question's going to be, did Arcade put in enough work based on the feedback we gave them after CES to correct the little observations we made that we knew would make it tough to control and drive and give us the pole position experience that we wanted in the first place when we plunked down the money for one of these? Well, let's take it to the table, open it up, and find out. Now, this new racing player is My Arcade stepping outside of their comfort zone. This is an entirely new layout and form factor. We're accustomed to them just kind of another micro player with the same layout, but this is quite a bit larger, in fact. Here's the 50th anniversary Atari micro player from last year. And you can say in the package here, and maybe even the cabinet's about a full inch taller. It's a much more vertical sort of layout. So they're doing something here they haven't done before, and even if just for that, I have to applaud them. We have seen plenty of Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man and Galaga, and now that we're working with Atari, we get access to some other games, and doing a racing game, that can be challenging here. We already know we're not going to have the same controls, we don't have foot pedals, we don't have a giant steering wheel. To translate that here, that's what we have to keep an eye on, is how well is it translated and how playable is it in this design. And I'm very hopeful. I see some changes here that are different from CES that we'll point out. I can see some buttons have moved, I think a larger screen. Yeah, a lot here. The packaging though, in general, quickly, it's what we come to expect, kind of the clear layout with some arcade artwork on the side. Down here in the front, we can see a confirmation that initially it was just pole position. Now 2 games included. We have pole position and pole position 2. Around here on the back, confirmation of pole and pole 2, and inside the little flap, just some details. We can see stuff like, license titles, 3.5-inch screen. I knew that looked like a bigger screen. AA batteries or USB-C power if we would like. And 2, when we first looked at this back at CES in January, this wasn't yet playable. Software wasn't final, so I cannot wait to see what's on there and how it plays. So let's go ahead and get this pole position racing player open and check it out. And once inside, we have a racing player, of course. We have a catalog, which is, you can see, it's last year's catalog with the Miss Pac-Man Pro and the GSP. That's trash. We have a manual, which is really just 2 pages of a manual in 7 or 8 languages. That's trash. And we do have, though, this is pretty cool. My Arcade has started issuing the certificates of authenticity with their new line of products. I think it might have been starting with the GSP, and now going forward, we have these. So this, however, won't be thrown away. Now, if what we heard at CES is accurate, and this does in fact have original arcade ROMs for pole position and pole position 2, it's going to come down to the hardware, these controls especially. So let's take a quick tour of the device, ending on those controls. And spoiler alert, I've tried the steering wheel and I'm optimistic. But let's start with the artwork on the side. Of course, you have some pole position art on the side, same thing on both sides. I think that is maybe a heavy decal. Just lovely design, and the whole thing just kind of pops with the bright primary colors on there against the stark white. Around here on the back, pretty standard for most My Arcade offerings. We have a volume up and down button. In the center, we have a power on-off switch. Here's a single rear-firing speaker.
Below that, here's the battery door. 4 AA's will power it, or you can power it with USB-C in. You need to provide your own cable, of course. You have a headphone jack, and then you have the variable brightness toggle to change the brightness of the screen. Around front, starting at the top, we have a pole position marquee. Up here at the top, we now know these are not backlit. A pretty big checkerboard bezel around the screen, but the screen has, I think it's a little bigger than we saw at CES. I think it's a 3.5-inch screen now, it says on the box. I don't believe it was even quite that size. Look, we all know we would love bigger and better screens on these devices. They're improving over time. They certainly get better, so this one has increased over last year's offerings. We're going to get to the controls. They're just above here. Let's come down to the knee board. We have a home, credit, and start button. Those have moved from where they were at CES. Love that. The coin door is just a decal. It's not a power button like it was several years ago, but I think there's still a bulb behind there that might come on when it powers on. I don't know if it does or not. It doesn't matter, but I think it does. I think it does. And I only show you the bottom briefly here to show that we have these 2 long rubberized feet to keep this device from slipping around on the table when you're playing with it. Okay, let's get to the heart of the matter, this control panel. This, I think, is going to be the make or break for this racing player. There's a lot to deal with here. The original pole position, you had a big free spinning steering wheel, you had a gear shift, you had, on the floor, you had a pedal, a gas and a brake on the floor, and all that has to be replicated here in a way that is plausible, that it's reachable with your thumbs, that you can actually execute the commands you need to execute. Several things were changed here from CES. I'm going to point these out specifically. Now, these buttons at the bottom used to be right up here. These buttons were smaller, and one of the things we said early on is, hey, those are in the way. They moved them. This is another example of many of My Arcade listening to what the community says, what their consumers say, and making adjustments before they ship. We also noted that the gear shift was upside down, right? It said high up and low down. Now, you might assume up for high, down for low, but in a race car and on a pole position, you shift down into high. And this is, I want to say when I saw it at CES, this was a switch that was a momentary. Like you nudged it down and it returned to center, and you nudged it up and it returned to center. Now, it is a gear shift that throws up and down. It stays in low, stays in high, just like it should. Okay, I know I'm saving the steering wheel for last. You're asking, what about the steering wheel? I know. Big gas pedal. Feels typical, not clicky or anything, but it's got a long throw to it. Brake pedal there. You're going to use the brake much less frequently. What about this steering wheel? Now, when we saw the early version, way back in January, this was a digital steering wheel. When you leaned it to the left, it sent a command to go more left, and the longer you held it, the more it would go. And it would snap back to the center. And you pushed it to the right. It was a digital control. I think this is an analog steering wheel now. I haven't played the game yet, but look at this. This is a completely free spinning. Now, not like a spinner. You can't like spin it and let go. I know that Fuji track has some tight corners, but with my thumb, and this is it's a little bit textured, just slightly textured, rubbery here, with a notch to show where top is. And look what I can do with my thumb. This bodes so well. If the software doesn't have a problem, we might be looking at a real winner here. This is... Let's turn it on. I just don't want to wait any longer, so let's get the batteries in this thing so we can try it out.
Well, so far, so good. I'm really optimistic about how this thing is going to play based on what we've seen so far. While I'm getting the batteries in, I will just briefly remind you that the holidays are coming up. Please remember we have our store at GenXGrownUp.com/merch, where you can get original artist designs on hats and t-shirts and mugs and pins and stickers. And yeah, there's a few pole position designs in there. Anything you're interested in, we probably have some cool designs. And with the shopping season coming for holidays, as I said, keep us in mind when you start shopping for the nerd in your life. All right, let's get to play in this pole position.
Oh, that's a new custom My Arcade intro. And there we go, selection of pole position or pole position 2. All right, so I'm gonna just crank up the volume. Oh, look at this. It's not just a toggle. So the new interior, the new innards here, look at that. We're gonna crank it all the way up just to make sure you can hear it well. That's new. All right. Let's start with pole position 1, and I'm gonna guess hit the gas. Yeah. I've zoomed out a bit here so you can see the controls. I think they're as important as the game for pole positions. Oh, there's that explosion. Okay. Yeah. Oh. That looks like the arcade ROM to me. Look at that. Oh, yep. That's what we'd heard. Let's take a look at the screen brightness toggle. Let's see, where's that button? So there it is on super bright, dim, regular, super bright. So I just have it on regular for our purposes here. I guess put in a coin.
Prepare to qualify.
Yeah, I'm prepared to qualify. That is an analog steering wheel. Look at that. They changed the billboards, of course. No more Marlboro or whatever was on them. Some generic stuff on there. I went by too fast to even see it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh. Yep, I exploded. That's accurate to the way I play pole position. Okay, I'm just having a lot of fun already. My first impressions. Look at the steering wheel. Oh, and I qualified even. Position 8, even after I wrecked. Wow. Let's go. Whoa, 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 whoa. I've never been good at pole position, but I played through the first race enough to know what it's supposed to feel like. Ooh, and it feels like me wrecking just like usual. The gear shift in the center is... I was worried about that, but I mean, it's functioning as well as... Ooh, it's functioning as well as you need it to. Don't blame me wrecking on this unit. That's just standard. That's accurate for my pole position play. And also I have a camera between me and the screen, but it just feels responsive. Oh, he passed me. That will not stand. That jerk. Come back here. It's very sensitive in a good way. In a very good way. Oh, high scores. Oh, they said it was going to save high scores. Let's put it in a GXG. Oh, this is different though. These high scores, gear shift, what do you do? Brake? There, brake. This is a whole scoreboard. Is going to save all that for me? All right, my pitiful score, 17,790 or whatever it is. There it is, top score and the score. Oh, there's one of the billboards. So let's go back to home. Actually, I'm going to turn it off, off entirely. They say it saves the high scores. I have no reason to doubt them, but we're going to fire it back on from 0 just to see our high score and pole position. That's a boom. Let's see how do you see our leaderboard? Is there a way to get to that? There's our 17,790. There's the high score we just made. Yep. Okay, I'm going to play pole position. Two is still on here. I'm going to play pole position one more time.
Prepare to qualify.
That steering wheel is... Whatever they did, however they found this steering wheel control, this is exactly what they needed for this unit. Without it, this would have been... It would have been so sad to have had the real ROM in a nice unit that's so pretty, ooh, and have not be able to control it, but, like, I'm in full control. It is really responsive. Oh, my arcade, you done a good one. This is really... Okay, where's the home button? Home, take me back to the menu. All right, I can do 1 or 2. Let's try pole 2. That looks like the ROM booting to me. Gear shift is auto-recognized. You see down there in the corner, just like you would. I always loved that in the arcade. Without a quarter, I could throw the gear shift and at least see that change. I'm like, I'm controlling it somehow, a little bit. Yeah, there's all the tracks. Yeah, that Fuji is a bear. Suzuka is terrible. I'm just going to test track for starters. So I'm not that great. Hit the gas pedal.
Prepare to qualify.
Oh, starting low. Look at that. The steering is... I'm going to try to not wreck. Not go top speed and just try to not wreck. So you can get a good sense of speed on the screen. The sense of how well I can control. Quick adjustments. Oh, there's a kaboom! My tires, I forgot your tires go all over the place when you're wrecking pole 2. But even with my lack of pole position skill, I hope that what I'm getting across is I'm getting a much closer pole position experience than I was concerned I might get after seeing what they initially were showing at CES. And by the way, pole position 2 wasn't even on it back then. It was just pole 1, right? You're doing all right. Oh, ran out of time. Yeah, and if you don't score high enough, you don't even get to put in your name. Those are all people that got pushed down the leaderboard. I don't even know what to say exactly. I mean, look, you have 2 original pole position arcade ROMs. You have a control steering wheel that's manageable. These other things, you know what? These could have been anything. Even the little flippy toggle gear shift would have been okay. You could have lived with it. I guess really the steering wheel is where the rubber hits the road. No pun intended, rubber meets the road here. And whatever they sourced here, they improved this, they made these larger, they moved stuff around. This is just pole position. If you're looking for a handheld, little tabletop pole position, I'm not sure how you can go wrong. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, you saw what I saw, right? I mean, this is, without a doubt, a remarkable step up from a lot of the offerings that My Arcade has done in the past. This harkens back to their premium edition players. Remember the Contra, the Street Fighter, the Space Invaders, right? Where they took real arcade ROMs, didn't just cookie cutter the controls, did something custom for the controls. And plus, My Arcade has done this before, no surprise, they listened. Back in January when we looked at the prototype, we said, well, this is weird, that control's not gonna cut it, what about this? They listened, they gave us those things. How do you fault a company? Look, is it perfect? I don't think it's perfect. I don't think any product is perfect. Could it have a better or bigger screen? Sure. Could it have HDMI out? Sure. Could it have 800 more games? Sure. That's not what they're selling though. I try to rate these products on the measure of what they offer for the money. How have they improved over the recent years? What have they done better? What have they iterated on? What makes it a better arcade experience, especially when the name of your company is My Arcade? We care about that stuff. And in the case of this pole position player, they went outside of their comfort zone. They delivered something new we haven't seen before. They gave us controls that are worthy of a pole position tabletop device. Again, not perfect, but with all those criteria, this pole position racing player has earned 5 tokens out of 5 on my rating scale. Based on what I've shared with you here, you should know whether or not this pole position player is for you. If you enjoy pole position, if you are better at it than I am, which is not too tough, I think you're going to enjoy this unit. And the even better news, you don't have to wait. These are available to order right now. Check the link down in the description of this video. That's an affiliate link where we'll get a couple pennies if you do order it through there. It's an Amazon link. They're shipping very, very soon. Maybe by the time you see this video, they will be starting to ship. If those are all things that interest you, if this is a product that you are interested in and weren't sure whether or not it would live up to the pole position name and its legacy, it does. It has. And I'm happy to have been able to bring you a review of such a product after so many little bit disappointing, oh, not quite the right sound, not quite the right this. This is about as right as you can be for a handheld product. So, especially in 2024. Whew, okay. Man, I'm gonna wrap this video up. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I'm gonna throw links over my shoulders here and here to some other products, not quite as good as this one maybe, but other great products that I've reviewed recently. I certainly hope you found something to enjoy in this video, and I cannot wait to talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.